So the short is the classic fairy tale about a frog prince, but it's been inverted to where a prince ends up with the brain of a frog by virtue of a witch's curse.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I'm the section leader for 2D animation. We're part of the creative design, digital technologies. No, creative design technologies, that's it. Get to work!
I think the greatest thing about this project, it comes at the pretty much the very end of your degree program or your certificate program, whichever you're doing. And a lot of the students that you work with have been your cohort for the last 2 years. And this is the first opportunity that you have to work with a big group of them kind of all together.
To start out, as the professor, I take on the role usually as producer-director. And the whole class gets together and we just discuss different ideas. What can we do for a cartoon?
I've got a frog tattoo, and we were talking about how cute we thought frogs were.
We just went with it. We thought it was a great idea. Once we established the idea, in the pre-production process, different students have different jobs.
Pre-pro would be storyboarding, character design, character turnarounds, animatics, and backgrounds.
2 other students and I sketched out some storyboards. I wrote out some narration with those students. Once that was there, we go into a piece of software called Toon Boom Harmony, and we start doing very rough, almost just like animatics.
Our background artists this time, I could not have asked for a better team. Character designers.
Everybody kind of did some pencil sketches to try and find a style. And then we decided on a couple of students to do the final character designs.
And then once all of that's set, then they would get scenes divvied out to them and they'd have to animate each scene.
So I got tasked with animating all of the scenes with the court jester. And there's a scene where the court jester sort of gets forcibly removed from the ballroom by a guard, and that was kind of fun to animate. Once we've got all of the individual scenes animated, I take them into Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere to do some finishing effects, some compositing, and some color correction.
Then we're going to watch the latest edit, and then we're going to discuss a few little things that Wiley and I would like to see done today before we leave. Finally, at some point, I said to the class, guys, I'm going to make Wiley the director. And we were about halfway through the semester. It was kind of like, well, yeah, Mike, we kind of thought he was already doing that.
I don't know if that director credit really, I was in a position where everybody in the class had to animate 2 or 3 scenes. Everybody had, additional duties. I kind of ended up editing the work draft every day. And I think at some point, Mike just kind of slapped my name on as the director. So what we got, I think, looks pretty good. Everybody should be super proud of themselves.
Absolutely.
We probably need to tweak the timing a little bit in some places. The one thing that stood out the most to us, or to me initially, was the bit with the guillotine joke. And we just kind of needed to take another pass on it and make it a little snappier. Because we had such a compressed timeline, it was really difficult to do group reviews of everything in a lot of detail. I think that there's a little bit of unevenness across some of the scenes in terms of timing, maybe line quality. If we had more time, that's all stuff that we probably would have hammered down a little bit better.
Our semester basically equates to a 40-hour work week. So they have to work fast.
But remember, this is it. This is crunch week, and it's seriously crunch week because it has to be finished. But some particular instructors I know, they might say, "So you're responsible for this scene, and it's not going to get done. You're going to fail the course." And they would do it right here at the very end. I'm not going to do that, okay? So no problem. But it could come down to a scene not being finished and Wiley and I figuring out how to cut the scene and make the rest of it work.
I'm, I guess you'd call a non-traditional student, a little bit older. I had actually not finished high school when I was a kid due to a work opportunity that I followed for a long time. A couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to change careers, and my wife actually suggested that I come to ACC. I'd worked a little bit in animation before, but I definitely didn't feel like I had the sort of deep traditional animation skills that I thought maybe I wanted. I think I was drawn to the sort of fundamental principles of animation because those are the kinds of concepts that you can apply to all kinds of different art. So I just really wanted to have those sort of fundamental skills and start in that place where you're on a light table with a pencil drawing frame by frame.
Traditional skills are very important because software is going to be changing. It always changes. So the students need a firm understanding of the basic principles of drawing and animation. And then they can apply that to 3D, 2D, stop motion, almost anything that moves.
What I'm hoping and what the goal is that they are getting their 12 principles of animation, so the basics of everything that makes animation work, and then they're going on to get their understanding of different programs. So we teach TV Paint, we teach Animate, Adobe Animate, formerly Flash, and then we teach Toon Boom Harmony here, as well as they work on paper.
One of the things I do add is how important communication is.
They have to learn how to work on a team, how to show up on time for work, how to work with other people, and how to be a good employee.
Animation attracts very shy people, you know, artistic, always drawing in the corner of the room and stuff. But I try to get them out of their shell sometimes and talk in front of other people. Again, those are the type of soft skills that employers are looking for as well.
At the end of their degree, they should be ready to at least know what it's going to feel like in a studio. Some of them transfer to different schools.
This is the first time I've ever graduated from anything. I didn't graduate from high school, so my family's kind of making a big deal out of it. My friends encouraged me to apply to four-year universities, and as a result, I'm going to UCLA, which was my top pick, so I'm pretty stoked.
If we can get a student to the point where they can apply to another school, four-year institution or more, and they can develop their career and their skills that way, that's thrilling. It's really great.
I think the expertise in the instructors is really singular.
Everybody who are instructors and professors here, we are all also currently industry professionals.
These people carry so much experience and so much know-how that the students are getting taught by people who don't just have degrees, which they have, but also are very street smart and understand how the industry works.
So they're getting every facet of the studio standards.
And it's wonderful to have Mike doing what he's doing and being able to put this great project together.
It was a huge team effort.
It was definitely a wild task, kind of coordinating everybody together in a single semester to make a cartoon, but it got finished, so I'm pretty happy.